Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is May the 8th, 2019. Strong hand, offended by selling. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. I'm not going anywhere. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. No fancy sensor graphics here, people. You can check out sportsmeister.com, by the way, if you want to hear the podcast version. If you really don't care about fancy sensor graphics, check out all the links below and follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. I do a news show here every day, and on Friday, it's This Week in Bitcoin. We have a very special This Week in Bitcoin at 1 p.m. Baltimore time on Friday. That is 6 p.m. in London, where Simon Dixon is in England, of course, and Simon Dixon will be joining me. He'll be the only guest on Friday's show. There have been a lot of current events in the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure a lot of people want to hear Simon's opinions on Binance and Tether and all the fiat freaky stuff out there. And we're going to talk a little fiat freak right tonight. By the way, if you have questions, people, I'm doing questions and answers. You just type in Bitcoin Meister in the chat, and I will see it, and then I will answer your question at some point during the show. I'll check over there. But let's talk about Binance real quick. And the hack. Matt Odell has a tweet that sums it up very nicely. The reason Bitcoin was stolen from Binance and not any of the hundreds of altcoins, I'm not saying the word that he used, they also offer is precisely because those chains are easy to roll back or freeze, while Bitcoin is not. Pound that like button. And that leads into the discussion that the guy in charge of Binance, what is it, CZ, his name is, started on Twitter. And he made it. He said that he thought it might be a good idea. Some people suggested it might be a good idea to roll back the Bitcoin blockchain and just erase the hack. Like this is an easy, like this can be done. Like this is Ethereum. Oops. You see, that's the thing. Back in 2016, there was a hack, the DAO hack on Ethereum. They rolled it back, and then Ethereum Classic was basically born. I'm not going to get into the story, but not everyone thought they should roll it back. Same thing would happen here, to say the least. It's, when you're building the new gold, when you're building such an incredible financial revolution, you just don't bail people out, okay? That ruins the value of the chain. That ruins the trust right there. And so no one in their right mind, it's 7,000 Bitcoin. Who cares? You got robbed, dude. You said you said that you have a backup and that you're able to bail yourself out. I think deposits still might be closed there, or withdrawals still might be closed over there. I have no idea. I'm not a trader. I've never used that site in my life. But hey, if you're telling the truth, CZ, then that's it. This is where the big boys play. There are no rollbacks. There are no bailouts. And you lost some money. You'll improve your security, maybe. I mean, all of these places are going to get hacked. That's the business you're in. Maybe you'll print some more of your tokens or whatever. People seem to like you a lot, so they're just tossing money at you anyway. But no, he made it seem like that this is some centralized. It's like he doesn't understand that, like, he can't make there's no centralized king here. You just can't make a proclamation. Oh, let's have a rollback. It just doesn't happen like that. There's no centralized king. There's no your name's not Vitalik or anything like that. And this is what he said. After speaking with various parties, including, and he mentioned some people, including Rocket Man Woo and others, we decided not to pursue the reorg approach. Ooh, well, thank you for not pursuing that, dude. I don't know. It started a lot of conversations on Twitter, at least today, and pointed out the reality that Matt Odell pointed out in the tweet that I previously read, that the other ones can be rolled back. The other ones can be shut down, can be stopped. That's not Bitcoin. That's not why people are into this thing. If Bitcoin could be rolled back, then I'd be out of here. It would just it would have no value, and thus there would be no more cryptocurrency. Okay, and yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, and here we go. If he was what he could do, and he probably lost the opportunity to do this, he could say, you know what? I want to have a Bitcoin where that hack never happened. So I'm just going to fork off and create my Binance Bitcoin, Binance BTC. And you know what? He could sell it on Binance. It's the biggest, it's one of the largest exchanges out there. And there'd be something called a BTC Binance, I guess. B Binance, we would call it. He's welcome to do that still. I think he missed his opportunity there. But hey, you can still do it. If you don't like that hack happened, you can make your own Bitcoin. Then the only difference is that hack never happened. It's a race. Those coins, you still have those coins. Why not try it out? Try it out. See it. Hey, and again, he could. I mean, again, he could say anything he wants to say. He said some pretty whack things, and people are talking about him. People are pointing out how wacky they are and how it would destroy all value of Bitcoin. But all right, we've got some questions here, and one of them was from Hass McCook, who is great. He's been on the This Week in Bitcoin show at least twice, and he was recently on UK Bitcoin Master show. Check out that channel. At this point, what price would you consider being a dip? 5,500? 5,000? Lower? Well, I mean, in terms of buy the dip, dude, always buy. What's it right now? It's $6,053 right now. In my head, that's a dip, because in the future, well, first of all, Bitcoin always has come back to its all-time highs. What was the all-time high, you fiat freaks? 19,600. So right now, this is the dip. This is the dip. If you're waiting to buy the dip, why wait? What's the difference between 5,500 and 6,000 when compared to 19,600? What's the difference? There's not much of a dip. There's no difference in the long term. Do I regret? I remember back in the day, Tone didn't make me do this. Tone was talking about it's going to go down to, again, this is in 2016 or something like that. It's going to go down to 770 or something like that. And I was just waiting for it to get to 770 on or whatever the number was. It was either 550, 770, something like that. And I was just waiting for it. And I learned my lesson because it got down to 778 or $8 more on Coinbase. And I was like, well, I'll just wait until it gets to, and it never got down to that number. I never bought it. I was going to buy 5 more or something like that, or 10 more. And that's the thing. Now I look back and I laugh my butt off at myself. I learned my lesson. I didn't want to buy at 780, but I was willing to buy at 770. How silly is that? How ridiculous is that? Totally my fault. And that's why you cannot get too caught up in these traders and these charts. Again, it was totally my fault for saying, well, it's going to go down to 770. It was stuck at 780 or whatever it was. I forgot now if it was 575 or 770, whatever. One of those things. But there you go, Hass. There is the dip is now. You get it now. You buy it at 6,000 because when it's worth 20,000, there's no difference between buying it at 6,000 and buying it at 5,500. Really. And in the way, and you got to consider the way future. I'm comparing it to the all-time high that we are familiar with. How about the all-time high we're unfamiliar with? In 2021 or 2024, whenever that may be. You'll laugh even harder that you worried about, the difference between 5,000, 5,500 and 6,000. So yeah, the dip is now. Yeah. So Robert Gross says, Bitcoin Meister, question. Have you read Plan B's article on the stock to flow? What is your take on the stock to flow as a valuation metric? I love to see if Bitcoin surpasses gold once stock to flow is greater. I've skimmed over the article, looked at the charts and everything. I haven't got to study it in depth that much. The guy is great, though. I mean, it's some good numerical analysis, okay? And it complicates matters. I like to keep it real simple. My theory is a lot simpler, okay? Every 210,000 blocks, it's worth more. And that's You know, if 210,000 blocks from now, it's going to be worth more in terms of fiat. So that's I can't do a whole analysis of the entire article right now. If I had it in front of me, I guess I could do a review of it one of these days. But I haven't read the whole thing. It's good. There's some good information up there, but I keep it simpler for everybody on the channel and everything. And I think sometimes it gets. I think smart people get bored sometimes, and they want to understand it in such an in-depth way that. It's good reassurance articles like that, when someone can technically and mathematically explain it like that. All right. Roman says, since December of 2018, fiat whoa, what happened there? Since December 2018, fiat has entered a savage bear market, with the dollar losing half its value when denominated in Bitcoin. The bottom is definitely not in for fiat. Very good take on that, Roman. Very, very, very good take. Pound that like button, everyone. And Jim says, Adam, you are a service to Bitcoin. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for the $1.99, man. All right, back to the regularly scheduled program. Okay, yeah, we talked about CZ. And again, putting CZ on a pedestal. This kind of play. He actually got more people to put him onto a pedestal. People, CZ said this thing. But there are some 80%ers out there that are like, well, if he said it could be rolled back, it could be rolled back. He's very smart. It makes him seem like he's bigger than he really. There is no king of Bitcoin. There is no dictator of Bitcoin. If you want that, you can go to some of these altcoins. Baltimore. Oh, here we go. And here in Baltimore, where I'm going to be leaving Baltimore on Saturday, I'll be in Los Angeles for over a month. But my hometown of Baltimore, ransomware attack disables Baltimore City government computers, spares essential services. Apparently, they had to send a lot of people home, but yet the city was still functioning, which shows you that basically all government workers are useless in Baltimore City. But I believe they were asked for Bitcoin, and they refused to give in and pay the ransom. I don't know the update if the computers have been freed yet. But it goes to show you, and it goes to show you that Baltimore never bought. There were some organizations a while back started to buy Bitcoin just in case they had to pay off ransomware people. But clearly Baltimore never did that, which is not a shock. They're not into insurance or anything like that. They're not into long-term planning, right? Trust me. They're into selling healthy Holly books to pound that like button. So anyway, no. So these ransomware attacks will become much more common, and other cities will experience them, and other institutions will. So it's a sign of the time. And again, it's these hackers, they want the real thing, and apparently it was from what I've heard, it was they asked for Bitcoin. It mentions it in the article briefly. I linked to the article below. All right. So this is the fiat freak part of the show. Fiat freak part of the show. And that is that. Right, and I said the number before, but Bitcoin for the year is hit a all-time high for the year in terms of fiat. It's $6,050 right now, and we can remember back in November it was also $6,000, but then it wasn't $6,000 for 6 months, and people panicked. Dudes, it took less than 6 months. Were you one of the people that were like, "Oh, gotta get out now. It's going down to 1,500. It's going down to 1,000. Whatever. Gotta get." What was the point of getting out? What was the point of so really? What was the point? You paid the government some taxes. You got audited. I don't know. What was the real point? You obviously value your wealth in fiat. I've been saying it all along. Like, value one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. The Bitcoin, I have more Bitcoin than I did in November. Okay, I have more. I don't care what the darn, but yet the price of Bitcoin is the same in terms of fiat. But I didn't sell a darn thing. I didn't sell a darn Bitcoin. That's the mindset I advise everyone have. And if you look back, It's less than 6 months. It's less than 6 months of patience and not being impulsive. How hard is that? Really? Really, how difficult is that? For me, it's easy as anything. Clearly, it's easy as anything. But now just look, take a step back and think about it. Think about it. That easy. It's back to where, and again, it'll probably go below 6,000 again, but it's back. There are some people, oh, it'll never go that high again. Never, all this never stuff. Never going to return to the all-timer. Never this, never that. It's just a matter of time. You just have to be patient. And that's something I think everyone can understand. You were talking about the stock to flow article and that Plan B dude who writes some complex analysis and everything. I like to say things that I think everyone can understand. Don't be impulsive. Just be patient. And it does come back. There are bumps in the road. This is a new technology, a new financial mechanism. It's wild. It's been a roller coaster. I've owned it since 2013. I've seen it all. I've seen many a hack, just like we're talking about the Binance hack. You just got to roll with the punches and you don't panic, because anytime when you panic, when you're impulsive, you're going to make a big mistake, a big mistake. That's when the mistakes happen. When you do nothing, when you just have a strong hand, you really nothing. There's no mistake. You're not going to do something wrong. Okay, so there you go. Less than 6 months. Okay, less than 6 months. I remember when it went below 6,000, when it went below the Hoffman line, whatever you want to call it, 5,800, and everyone's, oh, look, yeah, on the way to 3,000. And it did go to 3,000. It did. Oh, woe is me. It's going to go to 1,500, to 12,000. It's over. No, look, 6 months. 6 months. That's all. Don't be impulsive. Deferral. Did you defer gratification for 6 months? Can you do that? Or is America so lost? Is the Western world so lost that the 80%ers can't defer gratification for 6 months? Actually, yeah, 80%ers can't defer gratification for 6 months. What am I saying? That's why they're 80%ers. And 80%ers are going to do what 80%ers are going to do. They're not members of the 21 million club. I was reminded of the 21 million club. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. So if you own one Bitcoin, and that's the name of the show, the One Bitcoin Show, you're a member of the 21 million club, as many people put it. And I just wanted to toss that out there because a commenter actually was saying to me that he was proud of now being the 21 million club. And dude, that is awesome. You should try to be in the 2.1 million club and get 10 Bitcoin, or the 210,000 club and get 100 Bitcoin. Aim high, dude. And we're talking about Twitter a lot today. There's a Twitter feed you should follow. I linked to it below. Did Bitcoin die? It's called. And most of the time, the guy just tweets out, again, his name is Did Bitcoin Die? Most of the time, his tweets are no. And then there's no. It just keeps on saying no. That's all it says, no. And you know what? That you get more information from his tweets than the 80%ers, the altcoin tweeters that they're saying that their ICO is the next big thing. No, that guy, did Bitcoin die? He there's a question there. Did it die? And he says no. And that's more informative right there than most of the stuff you're going to get from the 80%ers, from the no coiners, from the FUDsters and all that stuff. So he says some others. There's some other tweets in there too. So that's a funny account. Definitely. Did Bitcoin? No, and it's not dying. It doesn't die. I think everything kind of boils down to that. Did Bitcoin die? And we're going to get to some FUD that involves that in a second. Now, going back to Binance, something that I forgot to bring up, I guess, yeah. Well, that's been pointed out to me. If their bailout really works, their self-bailout, if they're able to maintain business as usual, because again, I don't know if they've opened or if they've allowed deposits and withdrawals yet, but if all the users there, if all the people that were keeping cryptocurrency on Binance, if they lose nothing, then no lesson was learned. No lesson was learned for those people. They're going to keep on keeping their money on Binance if it's business as usual. If they're allowed to. So yeah, that's. I mean, I'm glad Binance can pay for their own mistakes, but it is unfortunate. There are going to be people that are like, well, look, I was safely able to keep all of my cryptocurrency on Binance through a major hack, through a hack of 7,000 Bitcoin. Hey, that means I can keep my crypto anywhere. I can keep it on any exchange. I can keep it on Binance. No, that's not what you should be taking away from this. But a lot of people are going to take away that from this, if they from this situation, if the bailout is, if Binance's self bailout is successful, which according to them it has been. Again, maybe someone out there can in the comment section can tell me if they've enabled withdrawals and deposits yet, because that'll be the true sign that it's business as usual. If all of a sudden you can't get your coin off of Binance, then maybe they weren't able to bail themselves out in the way they said they were going to be able to, and maybe that's why he's proposing rollbacks and stuff. A question yesterday that I thought about after the show, someone said, "Are we going to ever be able to truly figure out the circulating supply of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin that are we going to be able to figure out what's been lost and what Bitcoin is still available to real people, the private keys that are, some private keys are lost. That's it. It's over. Those Bitcoin aren't coming back." And I said, and maybe they'll be able to get close to it one day, but probably not. But then I thought of an Andreas Antonopoulos video that I mentioned a few weeks ago. And he said, if there's ever quantum computing, that Bitcoin will be able to deal with it, but people will probably have to move their Bitcoin from their pre-quantum computing Bitcoin addresses to quantum computing resistant addresses. And thus, everyone who's aware and awake will do that and move their Bitcoin to the quantum computing resistant addresses. And after a while, when quantum computing gets better, all the addresses that people never moved their Bitcoin from, the old style addresses, will get hacked by quantum computers. So if all of that happens, then we actually will be able to figure out how many alive addresses there are, because it'll be all the ones that move to the quantum computing resistant addresses. And then, yeah, so that's a different take on that I thought about. Hey, man, a lot of Bitcoin are lost. How about that? I think, and it's good. I like that there are a lot of Bitcoin that are lost. The fewer the Bitcoin out there, the better. Again, I'm a deflationary kind of guy. Keep on losing them, people. Good people, do the right thing and safely guard your Bitcoin. How about that? And then, if the numbers go down naturally, the numbers go down naturally in terms of how many we end up with in the future. So one thing that it keeps on again, outside of my my Bitcoin videos that I make and I watch and all my reading that I do, there's other stuff that comes into my life through YouTube, semi-politically related and whatnot, just current event stuff. You can't help but watch it sometimes. Don't waste too much time on it. But people are complaining about the deplatforming again. Okay, we got the what is his name? The Irish guy, Computing Forever, talking about how the government needs to make these rules. And he specifically says that he's so panic-stricken. He's so panic-stricken that he's like, even with he says that eventually that all money is going to be digitized, and that your country will be able to turn you off and not allow you to use your bank account. And he says even Bitcoin, you see, he says with Bitcoin, they're trying to get rid of decentralized exchanges. First of all, there'll always be somewhat of decentralized exchanges out there. I don't know why he discounts that innovation, that he thinks the government will be able to get rid of everything that's BISC or better. But he says that the Bitcoin exchanges are centralized, thus you won't be able to turn your Bitcoin into fiat there because you'll be blacklisted. And but he and that might be true. That exchanges, there might be blacklists of people if they're able to figure out who you are when you're going to these exchanges selling your Bitcoin to fiat, that you might not be able to get your fiat. That is true. That is true. But he's wrong to worry about that, because once you're in Bitcoin, you can just make your transactions you don't need to get back into fiat. That's what he's missing there in his video, which I linked to below. Why worry about that? Why worry about that? Just get it. So he's like this woe is me dude. There's nothing we can do. He's absolutely wrong about that. There's nothing we can do. You create your own web pages. You list a Bitcoin address on there. People support you that way. And then you have Bitcoin. You can buy stuff with Bitcoin wherever you go. If you're in a country that's not friendly toward Bitcoin, leave the darn country, okay? With your stash of Bitcoin, start anew in a new country. I mean, life isn't easy. Things just aren't handed to you, okay? And I think a lot of people are spoiled. They're like, well, this YouTube platform, this Twitter platform, they're so great. They're giving me distribution to all, and then all of a sudden you're not being distributed by them anymore. You're not getting the network effect of these platforms anymore. Well, they weren't your platforms in the first place. You should have thought about that beforehand, that, yeah, these guys can censor you. And to run to the government to say, hey, platform that I've been using, that's been distributing me, that's been great to me until now, make them keep on being great to me. No, that's not the way it works in the big boy world, okay? You got to be prepared for this kind of stuff. And that's why you get into Bitcoin, because they can't take away your Bitcoin. They can't, it's not centralized. You can't be turned off from Bitcoin. Once you get it, it's yours, okay? Everything else, you can be kicked off. You can't be kicked out of Bitcoin. You can be the most vicious hater in the world, but if you can list your address somewhere and people can support you, it's tough luck for all the people who hate you, and you can continue living and being successful, I guess, in whatever you do. So yeah, I'm tired of all the people that are obsessed with deplatforming. Their obsession should just lead them to Bitcoin instead of complaining and saying, government, you've got to fix this. No, you can fix it yourself already. Get into the Bitcoin overlay, and you won't have to worry about relying on these platforms anymore that you've relied way too much on, okay? If you're going to these lengths, okay, and you can start your own platform. You can start your own circles of Bitcoin-related people, and no one can stop you. No one can stop that, okay? No one can stop those network effects. But you got to be able to work, and you got to be able to be nimble and move, and just not be stuck saying, I'm here on Facebook, I'm here on YouTube. This is the way it's going to be forever, and it's unfair if they kick me out. No, that's not the attitude to have. The attitude to have is, I'm in the Bitcoin overlay. I'm getting my support from people through, I'm valuing my wealth in Bitcoin. My bank is Bitcoin. And Bank of America can't shut me down. Wells Fargo isn't going to censor me. YouTube isn't going to censor me. That's it. And I have my Bitcoin-related people who support me. And maybe we start our own Bitcoin YouTube or whatever. There's so many possibilities out there. But running to the government and say, create a new law or enforce a law a different way, it's just you're playing into their hands. You're making Twitter, the government, and Facebook and YouTube even more powerful. Get away from those platforms. Deplatform them. I mean, you're saying they're deplatforming you. No, you think of it the opposite. There's a positive spin on everything. Okay, so and again, he tried to FUD Bitcoin he tried to make it seem like even Bitcoin isn't the answer. Even the government is so all powerful that they limit you with Bitcoin too. No, they don't. They limit you with Bitcoin in theory if you value your wealth in fiat. Okay, if you need to, for some reason, if you need to change your Bitcoin into fiat, but you shouldn't need to do that. You shouldn't need to. You should figure out the situation where you don't need to do that. All right, so enough of that again. But I mean, it's going to come up again and again. And for me, I think the frustration, and maybe some of you guys can sense it, is that I just wish these guys would stop relying on the government so much and have my attitude and be like, okay, this is an opportunity. Everybody, there's this thing called Bitcoin out there. Here's what it is. Here's how it's going to save us. Let's stop complaining and waiting on some bureaucracy to solve our problems. This Bitcoin thing is the answer right here. And it just seems like some of them are so close to it and they're just like kind of running around in a circle around it. But it will happen one day. I need to be patient. We all need to be patient. And we're already on the right track. If you're watching this video and you already value your wealth in Bitcoin, you're already on the right track. You've already won, okay? I'm just thinking about all the. I want more people to win, because the more people to win, the better it is for all of us who've already won. All right, Roman Q says, do you think we have another contentious soft fork, or do you think consensus will be easier to maintain going forward? We never had a contentious soft fork. We've had contentious hard fork. I mean, the soft forks, I mean, they went through, I mean, well, SegWit was a soft fork. SegWit was a soft fork. And yeah, I guess that was a contentious. So you could say, thus, Bcash, the Bcash people said we're starting our own coin. So yeah, I mean, there might be some soft fork in the future where some people are like, we're just going to start our own coin, just like Bcash did. Yeah, so I guess there will be. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can see that the attitude I take toward that is I think that'll be awesome, actually. If people want to make more crypto dividends, that's great, just because they don't agree with a direction that Bitcoin's going in. So I don't see it as something to worry about it at all. And I don't know how much more Bitcoin is going to change in the future, where people will. I think that the arguments will be more from people saying, we want this change, thus we're forking off, not Bitcoin is making this minor change, we are going to fork off. I see more of, of course, I mean, all of the great majority of the future forks that are surrounding an issue will be because Bitcoin refuses to change, and they want to change it. And good luck to them. They want to have a 42 million Bitcoin. Go do your thing. All right. Let me see if there are other questions. Yeah, and Roman said SegWit before I said SegWit. So yeah, or maybe I didn't see it. All right. Let's move on here. Here's the FUD clickbait article. And this was spreading all over Twitter. And people were just blindly retweeting it, blindly reposting it. Vox, this mainstream publication for hipsters or something, I don't know what they did. They had this title, a total clickbait title. If Bitcoin is so safe, why does it keep getting hacked? That was the real title. First of all, pound that like button, people. If Bitcoin is so safe, why does it keep getting hacked? It doesn't say exchange. And then it says thieves have stolen millions of dollars in Bitcoin from exchanges. Here's why it keeps happening. Well, dude, that's two different things there, okay? Wait, you're using this clickbait title, and then all these other people are just repeating it blindly to make it appear on social media that Bitcoin has been hacked. And thus some people will, I mean, in like 5 weeks probably, someone, I'll be talking to Bitcoin, to someone who knows very little about it, and they'll be like, hey, I heard it got hacked again. It's because of titles like this. And it's sad. It's sad because it keeps people away from Bitcoin. It keeps people away from valuing their wealth in Bitcoin. It keeps people from, it keeps people hooked to the welfare fiat dollar, where they're not getting wealthier. Okay. And that's unfortunate. But and I hope to God that the people who came up with this clickbait title, I hope they never buy Bitcoin. I hope they continue to live off of the welfare dollar and enjoy its benefits, and not Bitcoin. If they like to create lovely titles, if Bitcoin is so safe, why does it keep getting hacked? So there were a few people on Twitter though that were like, is this type of title still real? Is this still a thing in 2019? Do these people still not get it? I think they get it, actually. I think the people at Vox definitely get it. I think they're so desperate for clicks that they just had to make a title like that. I think they understand that it can't get hacked, but they're going to do what 80%ers are going to do. What 80%ers are going to do. Okay, they want to get their 80% clicks. Great. That again, so many of these, the business models, the online journalism, the mainstream journalism business models, the newspaper bit, they're so shot. They're so dead. The desperation is so disgusting at this point. I mean, everyone notices it now. They create their own stories, and this is creating your own story. That's your own. That's a fake story. That didn't happen. An exchange got hacked. Bitcoin didn't get hacked. All right. But that's the state of the media today. And hey, Let them do. 80% are going to do what they're going to do. I'm glad I'm not in that realm. I don't have to do business with those type of people. I like being in the Bitcoin realm and the Bitcoin overlay. And yeah, keep on making your fake news, and everyone can get up in arms about it. Don't waste too much time worrying about those people. Be happy that you have Bitcoin. And yeah, I think that's the end of the show. Any more questions? And no, that's it. All right. I hope I covered everything. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the links below. Bang that bell button to get and pound that like button. Bang that bell button. Get your updates on when we go live if YouTube feels like telling you. And click on those squares to watch my most recent shows. And TECHBALT on Twitter. I will say hi to you guys in the chat now. Bye-bye.